Awesome. We are live, folks. Take a look. Looks like we're getting some participants. We're going to give everyone a little bit of time to get on here. I don't know about you guys, but we've been getting a lot of rain, probably remnants of that terrible storm down south.
Yeah, we got the same.
Yeah,
We get it every night.
Mike, I forgot. Where are you? Where are you based out of?
Just southern Arizona, just north of Tucson.
Okay. So you guys got affected there too?
We've been getting monsoons like crazy. This is our rainy month. So July and August, really good for us for weather because we need it. We're in a drought.
I used to live in Arizona. We'll have to chat about that sometime. So.
Yeah. And Fahad, as you know, I'm in Seattle and it's fall, so starting. So it's fall, typical Seattle weather here now.
Yeah, but you guys have had a pleasant summer, so you've been really lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Awesome. We're 1 minute past, and so I think it's a good time to get started. And this session will be recorded, so you know, if anyone misses anything here in the beginning, you'll be able to catch up with the follow-up recording. So hello, everybody. Thank you for coming here to see our two companies, Qumulo and Atempo, come together to talk about how we deliver and fulfill the promise of hyperscale. Let me just real quickly jump into our agenda for today. So I want to introduce some folks. We're going to have two wonderful people. I'll introduce them on the next slide on our panel. That'll help lead some of this conversation. We'll learn a lot about the Atempo company and product and their pillars. And then we'll jump into, you know, Qumulo and why Qumulo is fantastic for moving to the cloud, and particularly around migration to the cloud. We'll then actually let you see the proof in the pudding and do a demo video, and we'll wrap it up with a couple of questions and, you know, sort of a panelist discussion here. And then I'd love to answer any questions anyone will have after the fact. So please do us a favor, make sure you get the questions into the chat, and we'll address them right at the end. And if we don't address any, we'll make sure to follow up with you afterwards, or just distribute the an FAQ with questions that were left outstanding. So with that said, I want to introduce, I'll start with myself. My name is Fahad Qureshi. I run cloud sales here at Qumulo. I've been here almost 7 years and absolutely love this company, and you know, been excited about what we've been able to grow over the last 7 years, and partnering with vendors like Atempo. You'll get to hear about them today. I got my buddy Gokul kuppuraj on the phone, and Gokul, we were able to bribe him away from AWS after a long stint there, and he's been a fantastic addition to the team. Gokul, how the heck are you, buddy?
Hey, Fahad. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be here to, doing this webinar with you and Mike. Yeah, I'm a cloud solutions architect with Qumulo, and just to give you some background, like I have over a decade of experience in IT, and prior to Qumulo, I was with AWS for over 7 years in various roles. And during my tenure, I had an opportunity to be part of helping customers with several large migrations. So I'm very happy here to share my thoughts on cloud migrations and Qumulo.
Outstanding, Gokul. We're glad to have you here, buddy. And I'll also like to introduce Mike Oakes, who's a sales engineer at Atempo. Mike and I have had the privilege of working together for the past 4 years. And Mike, just glad to have you here, man. Thanks for joining the party.
Hey, thanks, Fahad. I'm super excited to be here to discuss how, Atempo and Qumulo, can enable our partners to use hybrid clouds. But real quick, I'd like to maybe introduce myself and a little bit about Atempo, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as Fahad mentioned, Mike Oakes, I'm a senior solutions architect with Atempo. Been in the industry 30, 35 years now, kind of dating myself there, in various markets in the storage data protection industry. So a little bit about Atempo and who we are. So we've been around, as you can see by the slide, a 27-year veteran in the industry and specializing in data preservation, protection, management, movement, and analytics. And we do this through a variety of products. And the one we're going to be talking about today here is actually our Myria suite of products. And Myria is a software platform that enables heterogeneous workflows utilizing basically dissimilar homogeneous architectures as technology with some native tools that we've developed. You can see a couple of them here, like at the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position, Myria for backup, Myria for archiving. These are two other pillars within the Myria portfolio. This is what we've been doing now for 27 plus years. So tried, true, battle tested. The other two that you're looking at, the big one we're going to talk about is at 3 o'clock today. This is how we in Qumulo can get your data to the cloud from some type of on-prem storage, dissimilar architectures, doesn't matter. The other one that's of important here is for Myriad data moving. Think of this one as, synchronization, replication. Why is this important? Think DR, business continuity, right? Those other aspects that you can all do within one tool. That's just, who we are real quick in a brief overview. So thanks, Fahad, for letting me do that.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I love the fact that you're able to come on and tell us, because, it's not just something that's been new. We've actually proven this with Atempo over the last, several years, and have several customers that have been able to either take advantage of, hey, let's take our data off a primary system and move it to another system, or hey, we'd like to go and move that data to the public cloud. Right. So it's just great to be able to have, some expertise with you in the field and customer references to do such. But let's talk a little bit about Qumulo and cloud migration today. So first of all, Qumulo delivers a solution. Qumulo is a software data platform, and that software data platform extends into your data center and into the public cloud. It's the exact same. It's the same code in both places, right? So it was written to be very flexible and very portable. And what we're talking about today is Cloud Q. Now, we hear from customers all the time that, Fahad, my organization has made a directional strategy that we want to move our data to the public cloud. And we are going to rely on the vendor of choice, whether that's AWS, Azure, Google. It could be all of them, for that matter. It could be two of them, right? But we're going to rely on these companies to help drive our innovation and our strategy and work together with them. But boy, is getting that data over a pain. I mean, it's really, really difficult, right? And so you're talking about moving sometimes massive amounts of data. You're talking about moving large number of files. You're talking about high compute workloads. You're talking about sometimes archive or, workloads that just are static data, don't require a ton of, performance, but they all want that same experience that they get on premises is in the data centers, that I need to be able to get fast access. It needs to be scalable. It needs to give me real-time visibility. And so, like, what do I do? And that's where Qumulo comes in. Qumulo delivers a single namespace that can scale to multiple petabytes, right? Give you multi-protocol performance, so it doesn't break anything that you currently do today with NFS and SMB, so you don't have to refactor your applications. You don't need to rewrite your workflows. It's simply the same experience that you have in the data center, and you get it in the public cloud. And you can take advantage of these hyperscalers and their global cloud region, so you retain control and data sovereignty, right? And once that data is in the public cloud, you can take complete advantage of their awesome services, whether they're AI ML tools or et cetera, right? There's just so much that the cloud services offer. But whether you're on a Qumulo on-premise today, or you're on a disparate system and you want to get to the public cloud, Qumulo and Atempo have a fantastic solution and a way that we've done it today and proven references to go ahead and get you doing that, right? Like you sit there and you strategize how I'm going to get that data over. We make it simple. It's just the same experience, right? And you can get started today. Now, another use case that we hear about, a little different than migration, but a little bit on the same sense, is that, my organization really wants to get out of the data center, right? We need hybrid cloud. We need a presence in the data center for mission critical workloads, but we want to start moving some stuff over that's, less mission critical, but very important to the nature of the business for business continuity purposes, right? For data protection. So we call it DR in the cloud, right? And essentially what it does is that, hey, I've made infrastructure investments in my data center, and I want to be able to move those data sets to the public cloud. So I'm not sitting there, think about a secondary site. You make a significant investment in real estate, whether that's colo, whether that's your own data center. Then you talk about rack space. Then you talk about populating those racks with servers. Then you talk about cabling and networking. You have to consider power and cooling, environmental things of that nature, not to mention software licenses. You got to pay for VMs and other software expenses, and then the burden. So you have this multi-million-dollar investment in a secondary site or a tertiary site that really is there for to help you in a DR event. Well, what if we were able to take that and help you move that data to one of the hyperscalers, right? And do it in a very cost-effective way. And oh, by the way, because there's so much flexibility in what the infrastructure that's offered by the hyperscalers, If you were to have a DR event and you needed to make this passive site an active site, you can simply beef up all your compute instances and really get to a place where you can get through those difficult DR moments, whether that's hours, whether that's a day, maybe whether that's a week, right? And be able to serve your primary data sets off of a system with Qumulo in the public cloud. So again, eliminating redundant infrastructure, bringing yourself in closer to the data, I think or bringing your data closer to the native services of your hyperscaler, leveraging their multiple locations for geographic, cloud replication, whether it's within multiple availability zones or different regions, or if it's like you want to be able to work with multiple clouds. We do have customers today that have a certain subset of workload that sits in one hyperscaler, and then they replicate that to another hyperscaler. But because you're talking the same way, Qumulo and Atempo can help you deliver that. And I mentioned, your DR now has value to you, right? Because now you have brought it closer to the hyperscalers. So now you can take advantage of all the native services that they have to offer, be able to do more with your DR data. And more importantly than anything, with Qumulo, you get exactly that same experience that our on-premises customers experience today. You get instant insight into your data. Who's using that data? How many IOPS? Is it, who's my top offender? What directories are filling up? Which departments? You can now use those analytics to build chargeback and showback reports. In some cases, you could even do things like shameback, but we don't want to encourage that behavior. But point is, this is all that you get with Qumulo, whether you're migrating to the cloud with Atempo and Qumulo, or whether we can offer you to get off your disparate systems into the cloud at scale, single namespace, multi-protocol, give you the exact same experience. Qumulo and Atempo can deliver that for you. But don't take our word for it. I want to turn it over to Gokul kuppuraj here. And so Gokul's going to set the stage a little bit about what you're going to see here in the demo, and then we'll walk you through and show it to you in action. What do you say, Gokul?
Sure, Fahad, ready for it. Yeah, just before I play the demo for you guys, just wanted to share some context. So we are going to show you, how to migrate an on-prem NAS system to Qumulo in AWS using Atempo. Obviously, like Fahad mentioned, we have support for Azure, GCP, and all. But for this demo, we chose to go with AWS to show you the capabilities. And during this demo, we'll focus on ease of cluster deployment in Qumulo in AWS, and how migration is actually done using Atempo, and also how you can use some built-in analytics capabilities that Qumulo provides to look at some key metrics during the migration. With that said, Fahad, we can start playing the demo.
Fantastic.
Hi everyone. Let's look at how easy it is to deploy Qumulo cluster in AWS. We have several ways of doing it, but the most popular ones being using AWS CloudFormation service, which is infrastructure as a code service from AWS. And the other popular one would be to use Terraform, which is open source. In this demo, we will use the CloudFormation templates provided by Qumulo. As you can see, you can get to the GitHub page with the above URL here. And this will take you to the page which hosts all the code, documentation, etc. If you scroll through, you will see the infrastructure that gets deployed as a part of this CloudFormation template. First, you need to click on this code and download the zip. It will download the files into your local machine. All you need to do is unzip it and upload the folder into an S3 bucket. In my example, I navigate to AWS Management Console, go to buckets, and I have a bucket in place, and I just drag and drop the resulting folder from the unzipped file. And that is this one. As you can see, all the related assets here match with what's there in the GitHub page. Next, I'm going to navigate to AWS CloudFormation service. Once this gets loaded, I'm going to create stack. Make sure these options are selected, and I'm going to provide the S3 URL. In order to do that, go back to the folder where you uploaded the assets and click on this YAML file and then copy the object URL. Go back to CloudFormation and paste the URL. Click on next. Now I'm gonna fill out all the required parameters. As you can see, I have filled out the required parameters here. On a high level, you need to provide things like the CloudFormation stack name, AWS configuration, like the VPC subnet IDs, and optional parameters, as well as Qumulo specific configuration on what size you need the cluster to be deployed, etc. After that, you need to click on next. You can optionally provide keys. Go to stack create options and disable rollback on failure so that if there is any failures, you can look at it. Make sure all the settings are desired here. Then click on these three checkboxes and create stack. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, my stack is complete. As you can see here, the create complete. If you go to events, you will see all the related stack that gets deployed, which are nested stacks, as well as the time it took. For my stack, it started at 10:24, was complete at 10:33 here, about 10 minutes. Then I go to outputs and choose this public IP in order to access the Qumulo cluster. Please note that I chose the public IP management option in the CloudFormation to true so that I can go to the Qumulo cluster using a public IP. Typically in production use cases, you won't choose that option, so you manage via a private, EC2 instance or over VPN. Okay, as you can see, this is a brand new cluster with no data in it. I'm gonna create NFS exports. So Mike, our partner at Atempo, is going to do some migration into this cluster. Please note you can also create SMB shares and combination of both and use it for the migration. Okay, I have created 3 NFS exports for home, media, and research. And I'm going to hand it over to Mike to do the migration from on-premises NAS system to the Qumulo cluster in AWS.
Today, we're here to demonstrate how you can transfer data from on-prem storage to the cloud. More specifically here, we're talking about Qumulo in the cloud. And how do we do it seamlessly and efficiently using Atempo's mirror for migration? So let's get started real quickly. So what we're doing here today is we have our 1 gigabit office link for this demonstration. It's connected to our Iceland appliance. This could be some other appliance in our Qumulo in the cloud. And what I've already done is I've installed my software and pre-configured my NAS access points. Now after that, it's really just a matter of setting up your tasks to start the migration. We happen to be using 2 NFS exports today, but you could be using, as I said, SMB, some other type of file system, all from Myria, all going to Qumulo in the cloud. I've already set up one of our tasks, but we're going to do the other right now to show you how easy it is. What I have up here on the screen, as you can see, is a access point going to a web browser, right? So I already have pre-configured everything set up, so we're going to log in automatically. Now, what you get is when you first log in, you drop right into the migration page when you root. You can already see one of our tasks is running. We're going to go ahead, we're going to start a new project. So we're going to name our project Research 1. How's that? Because we're going to actually move some stuff out of our research page. And we'll go ahead and set up a new task real quickly. Now, what you can do right here, it's a pull down. Let's look for our sources, right? So we want to come off our Iceland. We want to go to, as I said, we have a Qumulo in the cloud set up with NFS here. And again, you could have also SMB, as I said earlier, other access points you want to use. Once you bring it up, you can start to look at your different locations. I happen to know my data happens to be located in NFS, and I want to take everything in research, and I actually just want to move it right to this research folder. I simply add that, and I can set multiple relations to move at the same time. This one we just happen to do one. Real important thing here is exclusions, especially when you're doing things that do snapshotting and other. You can do that here and just tell the tool or the appliance here, I do not want to copy snapshots, right? And I just add that inclusion. And I can delete it, I can add more, I could add temp files, DSS store files, and other things like that. Go ahead and click next. You'll see here there's multiple modes you can run, and we're going to do echo. Echo just says move everything from source to target and make sure it all matches. There's no extra files on target that may be already previously there. We can do ours with a snapshot, helps with quicker scans. Our fast scan technology, which allows for the use of the snapshots to build change lists so I don't have to walk file systems after the first seed of data. You can schedule it. We're not going to do that because this is our first seed. I'm going to set up threads, and this is just a number of cores to use on our system. I'm just going to tell it two cores, and then I'm going to set parallel jobs. In this case, I'm running on a little NUC with 12 cores in it. I'm going to tell it to use 6 parallel jobs. I'm going to tell it actually run, hey, every 5 minutes when you're running, fire up a job if you find something needs to be done, or maybe we'll say 100 gigabytes of data or 200, let's do it smaller. Let's say 50,000 files. Fire up a job, one of those sub jobs I'm setting right here, and start moving data so that you get to move data in parallel while you're still looking for data. Copy mode will keep as the default to move everything. Hash checking, you can set up hash checking both from a block level and a file level. If you set any of these here, you'll do a file level migration and a check of the data, the hash that you've selected. Go ahead and we'll hit next. It says, hey, do you really want to set it up as echo? I say yes. Then just give it a name. I'll give it, maybe we'll do what? Research, how's it? Research 1, you think? If I could type, research 1. And then we'll just say new task. And then we're done. We'll just say back. So our new task has been created here, but it hasn't been started. So what we'll do now is I can, if I had multiple tasks, I could go in here and tell it to start all tasks, right? I can start tasks in test mode. I'm actually just going to click on the task, and right from here, I'm going to tell it to launch it. Right? And you can launch it from an integrity check as well, but I'm just going to tell it, hey, launch my task. Once you've done that, a few seconds, it's going to start to spin up. We'll start to run. We'll go back to the main page here for a second for migration. You see the task, it's going to give it a second here, it'll spin up. It's starting to run. It's already found 14 megs worth of data it wants to move. You can actually watch it from here. This screen will show you volume per day or objects per day. Or you can take a look in the activity log. You'll see some stuff we already have running. There's 2 tasks that are running now. I can drill into them. I could take a look at what's going, these synchronization jobs, which are running from each. It'll tell you the speed it's running. This one hasn't started up yet. It will shortly because we just started at 11:53, you'll see. And it's finding different jobs to run that meet some of those criteria of files and or size. Time obviously hasn't been reached, but you can go through and actually look on each one of these as they're running. You can click off here, get details of a task, how much it thinks it's going to run. This one happens to 150,000 files. And 1,000 directories. So you can start to look at what's running and get some idea on how long things are going to take. And that's really it. Once you've got this running and you see how simple it was, now it's just a matter of executing simultaneous jobs after, I should say, incremental jobs by scheduling them after this first seed is finished, and you have your data easily moved up to the Qumulo cloud. Thanks for your attention. Have a great day.
Okay, now that you have seen Mike from Atempo demonstrate how to migrate from on-prem NAS systems like Isilon to Qumulo cluster running in AWS, I want to wrap this by showing how it looks like in Qumulo in AWS. As you can see, I logged into the dashboard of Qumulo, and you see the data is now at there is 542 gigabytes of data approximately. And we have migrated close to 80 to 1,000 files across 52K directories. Obviously, in the background, we ran multiple jobs to different directories to pull in more data. And one of the things I want to show you here is the value that Qumulo provides in terms of rich analytics capabilities. It is not only useful to understand what data you have in terms of directories, files, what kind of files, and have the deep insights into the data that you store, but it's also useful in migration, where you can see that I had migrated around, we completed this migration around 4 p.m. or so I can go into this historic data here, and you can see the cluster activity or performance, right, in terms of IOPS, throughput, and latency during this migration. And additionally, there is more activity. You can see how many clients are connected at any point in time, what is the directory changes, and many more. In terms of data itself, right, you can go to this Capacity Explorer and you can see that we primarily migrated home, media, and research data. And if you scroll over, you can see that it migrated with the permissions, of course, as well as you can dig deeper in Qumulo side as to what the data is inside those particular folders or shares. Thank you. So in summary, during this demo, we looked at how easy it is to spin up a Qumulo cluster in AWS, and you saw how to migrate large file system from on-premise systems to Qumulo in the cloud, and some of the Qumulo's rich analytics capabilities to augment and get insights into the migration and the file system that you have. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. That was a great demo. Great job, Gokul and Mike. Really, really appreciate that. I think you kind of capped it off right at the end, Gokul, was that, it's simple to get set up in AWS with Qumulo, and then look how easy it was in terms of a user interface experience with the Atempo product, right? Like it's very simple. You get great resources to help you with it on their side as well, but it's really clear there's 3 different ways to operate with it, and that was fantastic. I'd love to, I have a couple questions that I want to kind of pose to the both of you, and since you've are honored panelists today, let's ask a couple of questions. So I'm going to start with you, Gokul. So, you've obviously had some experience working with AWS, and you've probably helped a lot of customers over that period of time. You've been with Qumulo here for a little over 6 months. Tell us about your experiences with cloud migration.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of migrations, right, as you pointed out, it's not an easy task, right? And there is a lot of planning that is required upfront to be really able to pull off a successful migration. And some of the key things, I would say that, a customer should consider are, doing assessments to their portfolio, right? Understanding what they have, right? And then deciding the right strategy to migrate an application, whether it's, rehost, lift and shift, refactor, etc. And also the other main important factor would be to use the right tools and services that are proven in the cloud for your enterprise. And I think that's where, Qumulo and Atempo solution can really help in terms of if you want to rehost or lift and shift your NAS systems to AWS or clouds, as well as, using the right tool so that, on those complex migrations, using tools like Atempo to successfully do this.
That's awesome. Mike, let me throw it over to you. I mean, you've talked about your company's 27-year experience in data preservation. You've only had 30 or 35 years of experience yourself, so you don't have much to back it up with. But tell us about your experiences with cloud migration.
And I think Gokul hit on some important points, or one of them is that portability piece, right? So whether it's a NAS, whatever type of NAS, SMB, NFS, the ability to come off some type of file system, right? Being able to take on-prem cloud, public or private, and push it to something else. That's important. But couple that with, and this is the big one, because we're in a 7x24, 365 environment space, right? Everybody needs to have everything immediately. So being able to do those migrations to the Qumulo cloud without impacting user experience or the workflow itself, right, is really, really critical. And I've seen some appliances can do it and some can't. And this is where you need to start taking a look in the planning phase that Gokul's talking about, really understanding what the appliance you're going to start to use for this.
Absolutely. And then, just a shameless plug for Qumulo is that, there's not that many companies that can give you a single namespace, multi-protocol, and multi-petabyte, right? So if you're looking to move data at volume, at velocity, and you're the perfect tool with Atempo in the middle to do that, I just think there's a story here that, if you're ready to make that shift, we can help you with that. I have another question for you, and I'm going to go with you, Mike, first. So, Mike, you've been with Atempo for a long time. You've actually worked with a lot of legacy file systems. Tell me, how do you think Qumulo compares, and how to the others? And then, as Atempo, as your software client, like, why is it fun to work with us? Why is it good?
So I'm going to go back. So we call what's happening now in the world, right, past couple of years, like it's a data tsunami, it's an explosion of data, right? And people have to get off some older legacy storage, whatever it happens to be, right? But they need to get something bigger, better, faster, smarter. And this is where I think Qumulo really shines, right? It's the analytics portion. I mean, it's a great product for speed and everything else, but the analytics is where they really stand up against others. Being able to look at that information in real time, as Gokul showed in the demo, drilling down into directories, drilling down into files, what's hot, what's not, while not impacting that user experience I'm talking about, so you can do both. That's really critical. And I think that's where Qumulo is a step above some of the others.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Mike. Gokul, what about yourself? Not being biased, of course.
Sure. Yeah, like, I've worked with several products in the cloud and etc. Right. So I believe that definitely, there is file storage products out there in market today, including some ones which are from cloud vendors themselves, right? Which we call native services. But I would say, they all provide, decent performance and scale for the storage, but mostly it's with single protocol. There are some with multi-protocol, but I would say, in my opinion, none of them provides the scale, high performance, and multi-protocol support all in a single namespace. And Qumulo does that, along with the rich capabilities of analytics that Mike pointed out, with the simplicity. So with all that, it's just unseen in market today.
Yeah, I agree. I have one more question for both of you, and this one's important to my heart. It's close to me. So the importance of hybrid cloud. So Mike, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. Why we hear the term hybrid cloud everywhere? Everybody talks about it. Why is it important?
Well, it's important from a couple aspects, and I'll just delve in one or two. But I think you hit on earlier in your presentation, right? It's about security. And when I mean security for an organization, right? Business continuity, disaster recovery. Yes, you're running on-prem, but if you have something in the cloud and you need to get to it because something happens on-prem, you lose a facility, a network, whatever, you're not down, right? Again, I go back to that 7x24, 365 environment we live in. Everybody wants, 7, 8, 9 uptime. And this is where the cloud or partner using the cloud, especially Qumulo in the cloud, allows you to maintain that, allows you to be confident your DR, your business continuity solution is going to be there when you need it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Gokul, you came from AWS, so and then you came to work for a company like Qumulo. So naturally, hybrid cloud is important to you. Tell us your perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, it's mostly a lot of places we see hybrid cloud terminology. So I just want to first mention my definition of it. So in my definition, hybrid cloud means organizations leverage both on-premises, which is private cloud, or at least some sort of edge computing, right, in the on-site, as well as a public cloud. So based on my experience, this is the most common model we see enterprise customers leverage, except those born in the cloud customers. So people would ask, like, why not move everything to the cloud, right? Well, it's easier said than done, because the main drivers I see for hybrid cloud is a lot of use cases like local residency requirements, compliance, ultra low latency, legacy applications that cannot be moved to the cloud. So there are things like that. So that's why I believe like having a file storage product like Qumulo that is truly software defined and being able to behave exactly same across on-prem as well as in the cloud is a true differentiator. And that's why I think our customers should definitely look into and take advantage of it.
And it goes back to our opening statement, is fulfilling the promise of hyperscale, right? And doing it. Why this is really important to me is that as a Qumulo for 7 years, I've brought on a lot of customers onto our journey and brought them into the world, and they were using Qumulo in the data center. But they've always told me that our directional strategy long-term is to get some of this data over to the public cloud. And how do we do it? And that's why I think, this is my customers are like my family, right? And this is just the next step in the journey. We see the evolution of it. We see in the last year with the environment, with COVID and things of that nature, the remote work aspect has accelerated. The desire to open up your cloud, move forward in your cloud strategy, probably maybe a year to 5 years ahead of schedule, right? And so the journey that we can show from on-premises to the public cloud with the combination of our two companies is pretty awesome. So that's why, again, it's important to me and it's important to my customers. So thank you both for your commentary there. Let's do a quick wrap up. So in conclusion, I want you to leave with this. Qumulo and Atempo, moving your data over from your legacy infrastructure in your data center today is seamless. It's easy. We don't ask you to refactor your applications. We don't ask you to rewrite your workflows. It is, you can operate in your traditional protocols of NFS and SMB. We don't break anything. In fact, because Qumulo, again, as I led with, is the same software that you see in the data center, is the same software that you see in the public cloud. You get a very similar experience. You get single namespace, multi-protocol, scales to petabytes, and delivers performance to your levels that you need, or we can also bring down that performance if it's not a requirement for your workload. And again, it just prevents you from having multiple instances of infrastructure kind of broken out all over the place. Talked about high performance and multi-protocol support and the scale, but more importantly, on-demand flexibility. If you were to take advantage of Qumulo for disaster recovery and business continuity, and you had a DR event, you can flip the switch and make that DR system a primary system very simply, and be able to go on an active, serve active workloads off that in moments time. So again, seamless, fast, easy, scalable. There's a number of great things here that our two companies can offer for you. So look forward to hearing from you. We're gonna throw a quick plug for a fantastic white paper written by a buddy of ours here. His name is Sean Whalen. He wrote the guide to cloud migration, right, with Qumulo. It's 27 pages. It's fantastic read. I encourage you to definitely download it and get through the material in your own time. It's been one of the most enlightening pieces of material that our customers have given us feedback on. But it just talks about like how do you make that move to the cloud? How do you do it fast? How do you control your expenses, move into OpEx? How do you get predictable expenditure? And then, how you can do this at scale. So start today with small workloads, grow yourself from your least mission critical workloads and move towards some of your production workloads as well. So with that said, if you have any questions, I don't see any in the chat right now, but if you have any questions, we encourage you to send those out to info@qumulo.com. And we'll be happy to turn those around to you as soon as possible. Let me just take one quick look at the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. Doesn't seem like we have any questions. So Gokul, Mike, any closing thoughts?
Well, Jack, I think that, this is a great information that we are able to share with the customers, and, using Qumulo and, Atempo, I think you get a great solution for lifting and shifting your NAS. So I would definitely, encourage customers to check it out.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're looking for two, seamless software products, both Atempo and Qumulo give you that ability to use your on-prem with your cloud. And basically, I call it the heterogeneous/homogeneous workflow. You're putting it all together into one. That's what we enable. That's what we try to enable for our customers.
Absolutely. And so I thank you both for being on this session with me today. And, for those of you that are watching this live or going to watch this over a recording, give us a shout and let's at least have a conversation. Let us show you how to do this. Let us show you examples of customers that are doing this today. So with that said, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to hearing from you.